Man, oh man, oh man, that did not feel good. We've been kicked off the internet for
Harry, I would like to apologize to you. Mike, you
Andy's
fucking ruined. You fucking ruined our podcast.
Andy's professionalism.
It improved once you dropped off. Harry and I were fucking all cylinders going, and then you just decided the party was done.
You know, it's a lesson. It's a hard lesson that if I'm not involved, you gotta carry it, and you gotta step up to the plate. You know,
I was carrying it, and now I know why Horley calls you dad.
Yeah, my kids don't even like calling me dad. But anyway, so this is going to sound pretty. If you're listening to this on audio, we're going to edit it as best we can. But we had major hotel internet technical snafus, so we're going to jump back on where we were. And if you were watching on YouTube,
thank you.
You'll have to watch both. Sorry and thank you. So. Harry, you did say you were at the game despite being cold, despite having an infant. There were a lot of empty seats. I mean, it was palpable. It was visible on television. I mean, this is the Arsenal. And don't tell me these people are sitting at home protesting and muttering bullshit about the Rams. I mean, was it as empty to you? I mean, maybe it was just after halftime or just before halftime, but
it was really empty. But I don't know why people are so surprised that it was empty the other night. It's been like that for a couple of seasons now, on those type of midweek, lower level games, if that's what you want to call them. The attendances at Arsenal have been poor for a while now. The big games, yes, it fills up, but other than that, it rarely is a full house anymore. So I'm not sure why people are so surprised that was the case against Cardiff. The weather was shit. Our opponents were shit. And, people had gone the week before to watch us get thumped by Manchester United. So it was to be expected in my book. It's not right, but it's just the way it is.
Yeah, you got a lot of tourists who don't feel like standing out in the snow and the rain and the sleet and all that shit.
Absolutely.
So the transfer deadline is closed, as we know from your appearance on Sky Sports. And we find ourselves with a couple of youngsters departing on loan and one middlester, if we can call him that, because he's not old, he's not young, coming to us from Barcelona. Andy, what league does he come to us from?
The feeder league.
It
is.
I
can't believe Canton bit that bait, Mike. Did you see that? So in our WhatsApp group, I said my only problem with Suarez is that he comes from a league that is not of the same class, and it's going to take him months to embed himself to the speed, and then I sat back and waited, and he just wrote, "I will fucking kill you." And then I sent him the fishing line, and then he didn't respond to me. So he totally bit. Can't believe he did it. But I'm excited about the signing, mostly because it gives us depth, and I don't know enough about the player to say he's good or not. A bunch of people keep saying how he's this failed Barcelona player. Mike, look at the squad at Barcelona. Not every player that goes in that squad is going to be dynamite. And just because they're leaving doesn't mean he's failed, So I'm happy we got him.
No, I mean,
and for what we got him for, I mean, there's literally, like, outside of wages, we're going to be paying a small fee to have this player at Arsenal. If he does really well, we have the option to buy, probably first right. So I'm excited about it, to be fair.
Well, it's always nice to see new blood and see what they can and can't do, and give them a couple weeks before everyone starts turning on them. I think Madonna would have called the Spanish league La Liga Comida. But any intel on? I know he's not in Serie A, Harry, but any intel on your end on Suarez, on how he'll be used, on who makes way for him?
It's interesting because a lot of people talk about Suarez and say that he's a central midfielder by trade, an attacking midfielder, and that's absolutely spot on. But if you look back to the time he spent with Unai Emery in Seville, he did play in a wide position. So I'm pretty sure that Unai Emery's brought him in to do that kind of role as opposed to play in the middle of the park. It's kind of a get him in on loan and let's see what happens. We've been told that Arsenal don't really have any money to spend in this window, or that, we can't bring in any players. So this still makes sense to me. It's like sort of filling in a gap for a position that we clearly need to work on. He might not be the ideal candidate, given that he is by trade a central midfielder, but we have been screaming out for someone to play in the wide areas, and I'd imagine, based on Emery's comments of late and Suarez's comments, that's where he'll be deployed for Arsenal.
So is it one of Aubameyang and Lacazette that makes way? Is it Iwobi? I mean, who do we see?
It's a tough one, isn't it? It's really difficult because
they can't play an extra man on the pitch. So
that's right.
Do we go down to a 2-man back line like we had at the end of the United game? I mean, what do we do?
Well, we can't defend anyway, can we? Whether we play with 3 centre backs or 2, so we might as well just
stick Elneny back there by himself, and then we'll be all right.
That's it.
Let's talk about Man City. I want to open up to the chat room. Many of you have either come back or just turned back on again. I have no idea what your game day experience has been, but let's see your predictions for the Man City game. Are we all essentially just shitting our pants right now, or does anybody actually think we have a chance for a result here? I see I can actually smell Andy's pants. So Harry, you're a little further away.
My heart says that Arsenal can go there and get something, but my head tells me we're going to get beat.
I mean, Newcastle just beat them, but yeah, thanks a lot. Now they're going to be pissed.
Yeah, exactly.
Pissed off.
We're either going to face a wounded animal out for revenge or a wounded animal that's feeling sorry for himself and sitting in the corner licking his own wound. So, look, Manchester City are a top football team with a top manager, and I expect them to respond. And the fact that Liverpool dropped points the following night probably has given them a bit of hope again. So I'd imagine that City will come out strong, and I just think we lack quality in the defensive areas of the pitch, and City have got bags of talent in the forward areas. So there's only one result in my opinion.
Excellent. Well, I think it's. I mean, do you have a score prediction specifically, or
3-1 to City?
I mean, I'm thinking in terms of I'm seeing Liverpool part 2 all over again, 5-1.
There are moments in the Cardiff match, and granted it's Cardiff, that Nacho stepped up and did what most center backs should do, where he attacked the ball, didn't let people get the run on him. I don't know how we're going to line up in the back. I'm hoping that it's not a cricket score, but I fear it's going to be. You've seen City this season drop points against weaker teams. I can't see it being us, Mike. We just defensively we're so frail.
They drop points against weaker teams that set up properly and had the ability to defend. We just don't. I mean, we're better than some of the teams they've dropped points on, but not in the defensive, setup right now. So, we're gonna go to user questions now, and keep putting your predictions. If you're in the chat, put your predictions for the Man City game. We'll read them out. But we want to ask there have been a lot of user questions in the chat, and we're going to try to get to as many of them as we can. The first from Mike Hernandez is, Harry, would this type of shenanigans happen on the Same Old Arsenal podcast?
I've got to be careful what I say here.
I can tell you that Craig would never allow something like what just happened to our podcast to happen. And although we did have a cross pod with them one time, and there were a little bit of technical stuff, but his pimp hand is strong when it comes to technology, is it not?
Yeah, it is. It is. He's very good. He's very good. But it's technology, and these things happen. I won't worry about it. It's happened to me lots of times. It's happened to me when I've been interviewing people, and that's really, really embarrassing. Particularly when it's someone like quite high profile and you beg them to get them on, and then your connection goes halfway through. So it's just one of those things that happens. I won't worry too much about it. And look, everyone's tuned back in. So.
Oh, I'm not worried about it. I just, it's just the lack of professionalism that is our calling card. Question from Pablo Amar. Would you go back to Highbury for the old school feeling? Now, this could be interpreted a lot of different ways. Is he talking about, and maybe you can tell us, Pablo, are you talking about would you move the team back to Highbury, which would be a little hard right now, considering that a lot of people live there? Or are you just saying, would you like to visit Highbury and kind of get the, as you'll look and see on our YouTube page, a very professional video with Lee Judges and I kind of reminiscing and walking around Highbury and acting a fool. You got to go back to Highbury if you're an Arsenal supporter, whether you've been there before or not. But were you talking about the team moving back there? Because I don't think that would be very logical, even if it was still a football stadium that could that could host games. The money just wouldn't work out. So let's see. Who else we got? From Payush, when Giroud was our lone striker, we needed a world-class striker. Now we have two good strikers, but it seems Emery has still not got the best out of both of them at world-class level. Any thoughts? Now, Andy, I think we're getting some goals out of these guys, are we not?
Yeah, we are. It's, you know, Giroud's a weird example of a striker because he's great at holding up play. He's great at the 1-2s, and he'll score you goals. These two players are just completely different on every level. And, you know, you see Giroud could fit in with either of these two guys and still probably make them better players because of his link-up play. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's comparing apples to oranges, in my opinion, because they're such different players.
Okay, fair enough. Got a question from Tokyo Gooner, and this one made me laugh for a reason that I'm embarrassed to say, but which player do you think can play for Arsenal as a starting 11 in the Premier League in 2022? So let's say 2 or 3 years from now, who's going to be a nailed-on regular starter? Reece Nelson, Willock, Nketiah, Mavropanos, or Smith Rowe. And this is the part that made me laugh. I know it's horrible. It's stereotype. I'm not trying to perpetuate it. I'm not advocating it, but I swear to God, he typed it Smith Lowe, L-O-W-E. So I love him. Thank you, Tokyo, for the question. And Harry, what do you think? Which of those five, or which multiples of those five, are starting regularly for Arsenal in 2 or 3 years?
Guendouzi.
He wasn't one of the five.
Oh, was he not? Sorry. Smith Rowe. I'm not sure about Mavropanos, to be honest. Like, I'm Greek and I really want him to do well, but I don't understand where all this hype has come from. He played 2 games at the back end of last season.
It's the unknown being more friendly than the known. I mean, absence makes the heart grow fonder.
I mean, he got sent off in one of those games as well, and one of them was a dead rubber at Old Trafford. So I get it that people want to be enthusiastic about it, but he's shown nothing yet to suggest that he's better than the centre-backs that we're currently using. So I hope he does brilliantly, but I'm not on the hype train at the moment when it comes to him because I haven't seen enough.
Would you put him in there tomorrow or Sunday?
No. I'd go Mustafi Monreal. I'd play with 2 at the back. That would be my I think that's the safest option.
All right. A couple of the predictions that we have Payush saying 2-0 to Man City. We have Marquise Hodges, welcome to the chat, 4-1 City. Couple other ones in there. Someone's calling for Medley to play. That's Ryan. Sebi's keeping his optimism, 2-1 to the good guys. Payush from Boston saying if we lose by 2 goals, I will be happy. that's I will be happy if we lose by 2 goals.
Sadly, I think we all would.
Yeah, I'm like acting like that's a weird thing, but me too. Okay. Pablo saying we can win 2-1. Kerry McCollum 3-2 Arsenal. And Mike Hernandez say, "No, we're gonna tie." That was what he said. Couple other questions, Andy, on your list from Ryan and
oh yes.
And the last one?
Yeah, so Ryan, we are not seriously considering Medley or Mavropanos.
Why are we not?
Or why are we not? And I guess we just kind of covered this, but this is how we discovered Bellerin. Why not throw in youngsters and see what type of player we have? I'm all for throwing him in. I just don't know if throwing him in at this match is the one to do it. And you know, we're just in this weird situation right now at Arsenal, Mike, where, you know, when we're on that run of 22, things were falling our way. We're just not there. I think our confidence has been a little bit shot. I'm with Harry here. I go with Mustafi and Nacho as center backs. I'm more worried in this type of match for Kolasinac, who likes to go so far forward. We can be opened up by their speed and ability to press wide. So if we were going to put Maitland-Niles anywhere in this match, I would have Jenko on the right and maybe him on the left and just saying to them, you just got to defend. Because we've seen many times Kolasinac just isn't a great defender. He's excellent going forward. But on this, I think Maitland-Niles might be a little bit more accustomed to just sit back and help defend. But it's going to be a nightmare, man. It's going to be an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, it's going to be tight. Like,
I mean, this is the perfect game for Nacho to be a left back, but we literally have no one else, and I think he's the best pairing for Mustafi.
Carey's calling him to get a goal, so if he gets a goal, you heard it here first. Our 5 games in February after the City game are Huddersfield away, 2 legs against Bate Borisov, home games against Southampton and Bournemouth. That's where I put in the youngsters in the center back position and see what we have. I mean, the key though is we're so close to 4th. It's like I don't know what to do because I want to see those guys play. And frankly, if they fail, how is it any different than Xhaka in the back 4 and failing, or Monreal playing out of position, or Jenkinson playing in the central and failing? I mean, it's so, if we weren't so close to 4th at this point, ironically, I would feel much better about playing those kids there.
And Mike, I mean, not just 4th, but we're 7 points off of 3rd, and you know how quickly
Tottenham sliding. Yeah.
Tottenham sliding. City and Liverpool have a lot of people to be playing, and I'm not saying we're going to catch up, but City, Liverpool, and Chelsea all have to keep playing each other, and Tottenham. And I know we have them in the mix too, but we know how quickly 6 points can shift.
But it goes back to the argument, Harry. Do you play experienced fullbacks in a center back position that may not be their normal position, or even midfielders in the back 4, or do you give an opportunity to younger kids who have been playing centrally for pretty much their entire youth career?
It depends on who it is for me. So I would rather play a youngster at centre back than play Granit Xhaka there. But I would rather play Nacho Monreal at centre-back than play a youngster there. So it depends on the player. It depends if the skills they have are transferable to that position. Experience plays a massive part when you're trying to adapt position as well. I think the more experienced players with a bit more know-how, and Nacho Monreal is certainly one of those players. When you look at our current squad, he's better equipped to adapt, in my view, than someone like Granit Xhaka. And he's probably a better centre-back option than Mavropanos, for me anyway. That's just my opinion. But
he's done a job at center back every time he's gone there. It reminds me of the half dozen or so times we had to play Bakary Sagna centrally. Yeah. It impressed me how well he adapted to that. And there are some that can, and there are some that can't. Frankly, Jenkinson, I think, did all right against pretty low level opponent playing centrally, if I remember correctly, earlier this season. So, a second question from Payush. Under Wenger. Injuries were a problem during key games and critical moments in the season. This seems to be the same under Emery. Why every season do we have this problem? Is it the pitch, training methods, bad luck? I think the players could be taught.
I think we have such lack of depth that when we get hit with an injury, it hits us a little bit harder than it does like a Man City. Like if Man City have one of their big starting 11 go down, they can slot in 2 or 3 other players, and everything kind of goes.
But do they ever though? I mean, like
Kevin De Bruyne has been hurt for a while. Aguero always will go down. I mean,
even the Kane and Dele Alli injuries and stuff. Like I'm hearing Kane's coming back ahead of schedule again. I mean,
but
why can't we have that?
But because I mean, look at Tottenham, right? They don't have the depth, so they're dropping points. I know they got lucky against Watford, but with teams who have a lot of depth, you just don't – it's not recognizable enough for us because we don't follow them all the time. But Kevin De Bruyne was out for quite a while this season, and they have 1 or 2 players who won't miss a beat because they can step in, and then it doesn't look like that it's that bad. Yeah. And then on top of that – our player who gets hurt the most, it's not a concern over him getting hurt the most. It's a concern of how much money he's making while he's hurt. And that's just fucking ridiculous in my opinion.
All right, I think we got one more question.
Did you know, if you make the most money on the team, you should never be hurt?
Yeah, there's a direct correlation to how strong your bones should be and how much calcium you should be ingesting and all that. So we have one more question. Andy, you want to read it?
I'm not there, but sure. From Lee from London says, ask Harry if he has to get rid of one, who would it be, Ozil or Xhaka? Also, he says, I'm bald, I'm short, and I drink half pints.
We don't know who this person is. He's not.
I wonder who it is.
He did text us saying,
"You don't have to answer that." By the way, I said, Lee, Craig, what what can we ask that'll wind Harry up, but not too much that'll hate us? And that was what we came up with. So
I wouldn't get rid of either of them because
we'll allow that.
They're both very important parts of this football team. So, yeah.
Well, you have been an important part of this podcast today, both of them, Part A and Part B. We actually wanted you on for so long that we gave you 2 consecutive appearances on the podcast. 327, Part 1 and Part 2. So thank you to our listeners who were patient with technical difficulties. You got the bonus of not having to deal with me the entire time, which is always nice. Harry, where can we find you on Twitter, and where can we listen to you, see you, feel you, touch you?
Just find me on Twitter at Harry Simeou. That's me. You'll find all the links to everything on there. I always tweet everything from there. It's just easier than going through 15 bloody Twitter accounts. It's just at Harry Simeou, and all the pods are there, and you can find them from there.
I just picture Harry like in the control center with like 8, like surrounded by a circle of computers and cell phones and Twitter accounts and books and babies just coming out left and right. Well, thanks for coming on. I've enjoyed chatting with you, Andy. Have fun in Mexico.
Thank you, my man. Thank
Say
you.
Ola to various people, but not to Ola.
No, I won't,
because he won't be there. And let's see, we'll be potting next. We actually know who our guest is planning on being is going to be, which is Phil Shane of BN Sports, who we've had once on before. He's a Gooner, and
I like how last time we had him on, he went from commentating the Classico to joining us
literally within 12 hours.
It was
And I think we need to keep the feeder league jokes to ourselves next week because he makes a living off of commentating the feeder league.
What did
as
he
you
say?
like to call
Dennis
it.
Suarez is Spanish for Yossi Benayoun.
Yeah, that was a little disconcerting. So that'll be a week from Sunday night, and if somehow we should beat Manchester City, maybe
we'll figure out a way.
We'll figure out where there's a will, there's a way. But when we lose, there's no will. So thanks again to everybody in the chat. If you would please give us thumbs up, I would appreciate it. So would Andy. Subscribe, tell your friends. Join us next time, and there should be a link to subscribe that's coming over my left shoulder in just a second. If you're listening on iTunes, and now we are also on, what's the thing called? Spotify. We're like the last Arsenal podcast to figure out how to get on Spotify. I was all excited, and then I see like 30 of them already on there, including all of yours. So you can listen to us that way if you are not part of the Apple revolution. That's it for us. Before this thing cuts off on us, say thank you to all of you and goodbye. Come on, you
all of you.
Thank you all.